Achyuta, you can take the microphone there and say the Jai Dhwani. It's on.
Харе Кришна, да, уже. Джая Шиши, Гуру Гуран Гандар, Хари Рада, Винод Бихари, Ки Джая. Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti-tattva-viveka Padmanabha Swami Maharaj, Shri Gurudev Ki Jai.
It's not there. I'm telling him to speak a bit louder.
Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Бхакти-веданта Падманабха Свами Махарадж Шрила Гурудев Ки Джай. Нитили Кришна Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Ачи Бхакти-веданта Свами Махарадж Шрила Прабхупада Ки Джай. Нитилил Кришна Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Бхакти Ракшак Шридхарга Свами Махарадж Ки Джай. Нитилил Правишна Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Бхакти-веданта Нарайана Госвами Махарадж Ки Джай. Нитилила Правишна Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Бхакти Прагьяна Кешава Госвами Махарадж Ки Джай. Нитилила Правишна Om Vishnupad Что-то Рашата Шримад Бхакти Ситанта Сарасвати Такур Джагат Гуру Парамахамса Кула Свами Шрила Прабхупада Ки Джай. Шрила Гуру Кешора Дас Шрила Гуру Кешора Дас Гваджи Госвами Махарадж Ки Джай. Саптами Госвами Сачинала Шрила Бхактинот Такур Ки Джай. Парамахамса Вайшнава Шарубама Шрила Джаганатха Дас Гваджи Госвами Махарадж Ки Джай. Шри Рупануга Гуру Варга Ки Джай. Шри Гаудачарья Шрила Балдева Дибушна Прабхутрая Ки Джай. Шрила Вишнавачи Чакравати Такур Ки Джай. Шрила Нароттама Шинивас Шримананда Прабхутрая Ки Джай. Шрила Кришнадас Кавирадж Госвами Пад Ки Джай. Шри Рупа Санатан Бхата Рагунатха Шиджива Гопала Бхата Даса Рагунатха Шад Госвами Прабхутрая Ки Джай. Шри Сварупа Дамадара Рай Рамананда Шри Горвашада Вринда Ки Джай. Намачарья Шрила Харидас Такур Ки Джай. Шри Вриндаван Дас Такур Ки Джай. Примати Хахоши Кришна Чайтанья Прабху Нитянанда Шри Адвайта Гададхара Шри Васати Гора Бхакта Вринда Ки Джай. Джай Шиши Рада Кришна, Рада Гокула Нандана, Рада Шьяма Сундара, Рада Рамана, Рада Гопинатха, Рада Мадмахана, Рада Ладита Мадхава, Гандари Гаихари Гора, Рада Винод Бихари Ки Джай. Джай Шиши Рада Кришна Гопа, Гопи Говарнда, Двадашам Ванатам Шри Враджа Мандала Ки Джай. Шишьяма Кунда, Рада Кунда, Ямуна, Ганга, Туласи Бхакти Деви Ки Джай. Шилалита Вишака Адяшта Саккавринда Ки Джай. Шри Рупа Манджари, Рати Манджари, Ананка Манджари, Ади Аштасака Вринда Ки Джай. Шри Джаганат, Шри Навадвип Дхама Ки Джай, Шри Вриндаван Дхам Ки Джай, Шри Джаганат Пури Дхам Ки Джай, Шри Вринда Деви Ки Джай, Шри Юга Майя Пурнамаси Деви Ки Джай. Саран Бишну Прадата Шри Гири Раджа Гавардхан Махарадж Ки Джай. Шри Гопишвара Махадев Ки Джай, Шри Джаганатха Баладева Субхадра Сударшана Чакра Ки Джай. Сарвы Вигнай Нашна Шри Нисимха Бхагаван Ки Джай, Бхактавара Шри Прахлада Махарадж Ки Джай, Гранхарадж Шримад Бхагавада Ки Джай, Чарадама Чаря Чай Сампадая Вринда Ки Джай, Карамадхараджа Шри Чайтанья Мат Ки Джай, Шри Кешава Гаудимат Ки Джай, Шри Рупа Санатана Гаудимат Ки Джай, Гиридхари Гаудимат Ки Джай, Шри Чайтанья Сарасват Гаудимат Ки Джай, Чайтанья Гаудимат Ки Джай, Шри Гупинат Гаудимат Ки Джай, Шри Чайтанья Гаудимат Ки Джай, Шри Гауди Веданта Самити Ки Джай, Шри Харинама Санкиртна Ки Джай, Махаманта Прабху Ки Джай, Шри Баладев Прабху, Кришна Баларам Ки Джай, Шри Бхакти Деви Ки Джай, Ананта Комишна Вринда Ки Джай, Samagad Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. She needs to stretch out her legs, so it's better if you sit a little bit more this way, because she needs to point her legs out, because she got bit by the... usually he sits there, where you are. Usually Gauranga sits there. So you better that you sit over here. You can sit in your spot. Because you're... Do you understand what I'm saying about her legs? Yeah. So... Yeah. Okay. And that's where Bopadev sits. He just arrived. No. Here. Dandavat pranams. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikayai Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti-vedanta Narayaniti Namane. Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirsha Namami. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswaminiti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namane. Atimartya Charitraya Svasrita Nanchapalane Jiva Dukke Sadartaya Shri Nama Prema Dayane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Te Namane. Shivarsavana Videvi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. Madhurya Ujjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtai Dinatarane Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharane Namo Gaura Kisharaya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambha Rasambodhe Padambujayate Namah Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattva-atmakam Krishnam Bhakta-rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta-shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate. Tell her to come back right now. I'm calling her. Mohini Ekadasi ki jai, Madhavatiti ki jai. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsidebai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Panchatattva-atmakam Krishnam Bhakta-rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta-shaktikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sari Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, 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 Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari, Jaya Girivaradari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari, Jaya Girivaradari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana, Jaya Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Louder Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata, Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti-vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis on this most sacred Mohini Ekadasi day. So, we've reached the final chapter of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wonderful book, Bhakti-tattva-viveka. This is the fourth. These are articles that he wrote on Bhakti-tattva. This is the fourth article included in this book as the fourth chapter. And the title of this chapter is An Analysis of the Qualification for Bhakti. So it's one thing to try to do Bhakti, but it's another thing to understand what really are the qualifications for doing Bhakti. Now we will learn that in this final chapter. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Namo Bhakti Vinodanam Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastra Gyasam Rajyam Radha Rasa Sudhanidhim. So he's composing a verse to start this chapter. And the verse is Karma Jnana Viragadi Cheshtam Hitva Samantata Shraddhavan Bhajate Yam Sri Chaitanyam Aham Bhaje. I worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always served by faithful devotees who have completely given up the pursuits of fruitive activities, impersonal knowledge, and dry renunciation. Karma Jnana Viragadi Cheshtam Hitva Samantata Shraddhavan Bhajate Yam Sri Chaitanyam Aham Bhaje. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling us that in the first chapter of this book, we discuss the intrinsic nature of unalloyed devotion. Then in the second chapter, we discuss the intrinsic nature of bhakti abhas, or that which appears to be devotion, but in fact is not. And in the third chapter, we discuss the natural attributes of unalloyed devotion. So in this chapter, we will discuss the qualification. The word in Sanskrit is adhikar. We will discuss the adhikar for Shuddha Bhakti. No one acquires anything without possessing the eligibility for it. Here's a most simple statement. It's actually very deep. That no one acquires anything without possessing the eligibility for it. How can we understand that? All the innumerable jivas in this material universe and all the material universes, they are all acquiring qualifications to attain things. Why is someone born in a wealthy family and another person is born in a poor family? Why is someone born with very beautiful bodily features, very strong body, healthy, and another person is born deformed, sick, ugly? Why are these happening? There's cause. This is a world of causation. Yes. This is the world of exploitation. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj told. This material world is the world of exploitation. And the opposite of this is the world of renunciation, which is the other side of the same coin. Because it is trying to negate this material world through jnana, through the desire to attain liberation, freedom from birth and death and so forth, and all suffering. But in between these two realms, the land of exploitation and the land of renunciation, there is the land of dedication. Dedication means bhakti. So he has started out his explanation by saying that no one acquires anything without possessing the eligibility for it. So that means that whatever we've acquired in this material world, thus far in this life, it is all because from our previous actions, we have created an adhikar, an eligibility, by our previous actions, whether they are sinful activities, whether they are pious activities, and so forth. So no one acquires anything without possessing the eligibility for it. So this is the land of trying to attain the eligibility for what? For unlimited sense gratification. It's the land of exploitation. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this eligibility, or this qualification, it is the very foundation of success. The foundation of success. And when a devotee fully understands this, he will no longer remain doubtful concerning his eventual achievement of the ultimate goal. This is very encouraging sentences. So first he's telling the eligibility or qualification. This is the very foundation of success. And when a devotee fully understands this, understands what? That the eligibility or qualification is the foundation of success. So when a devotee fully understands this point, he will no longer remain doubtful concerning his eventual achievement of the ultimate goal. It is definite when he understands that first I have to attain the qualification. Once I've attained the qualification, then it will definitely happen. I will eventually achieve the ultimate goal. Now, many devotees think as follows. Many devotees think as follows. For a long time now, I have been fully surrendered to my Guru. I have accepted the Diksha mantra from him. I am also engaged in hearing and chanting, but still I am not experiencing the desired result. What is the reason for this? A devotee is asking. He's thinking like this. Devotee's thinking like this. So for a long time, I've been engaging, and I'm trying to be fully surrendered to my Guru. I've accepted Diksha mantras from him. I'm doing my hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam, but still I'm not experiencing the desired result. So what is the reason for this? Now gradually, those devotees who think like that, they become uninterested in their bhajan, and in the end they become totally faithless. Sound knowledge of the proper qualification for bhakti can easily protect one from such doubts. What can protect us from such doubts? What can protect us from such doubts? What he just told us.
He should know which adhikara.
You should know what?
He should know which adhikara should he possess.
Sound knowledge means thorough knowledge. Thorough knowledge of the proper qualification for bhakti. Not necessarily my qualification, but knowing what is the proper qualification for bhakti. If someone knows that, very easily it can protect him from having such doubts. Now it should be carefully noted that the performance of devotional activities such as hearing and chanting, and also the resultant appearance of symptoms like the shedding of tears and trembling, this should not be accepted as true bhakti for anyone and everyone. This should not be accepted. Just shedding of tears, trembling when hearing and chanting. No. This is not to be accepted as true bhakti for anyone and everyone. So hence, therefore, in order to take shelter of unalloyed devotion, then it is compulsory to analyze the proper qualification for it. So this will be a very good exercise for us in this class, to analyze the proper qualification for unalloyed devotion. Because if we don't know that, then we cannot take shelter of unalloyed devotion. Now he says that the Hari Bhajan performed by those who are eligible to perform karma, or they're eligible to cultivate gyan, usually that becomes a part of mere karma and gyan. When they're doing their so-called Hari Bhajan, it's not actually bhakti, because they have the eligibility for karma and for gyan. So usually it becomes a mere part of karma and gyan. That's what takes place. Now, therefore, such people, they don't obtain the auspicious fruit that is expected from the performance of bhajan. Why? Why don't they obtain the auspicious fruit that is expected from the performance of bhajan? Because they don't have the proper qualification. They don't know what the proper qualification is. And really, their so-called Hari Bhajan is simply that they're eligible to perform karma and they're eligible to cultivate gyan. So usually, this becomes a part of mere karma and gyan. So therefore, such people don't obtain the auspicious fruit that is expected from the performance of bhajan. Now, a devotee's Hari Bhajan, it becomes pure only when he obtains the proper qualification for unalloyed devotion. And when this happens, then his bhajan will very quickly bear fruit in the form of bhav. Now, for this reason, I have undertaken an analysis of this very important topic. Scholars quote the following verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 16. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritinor arjuna arto jigyasur artarti jnanicha bharatarshava. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, as a result of their accumulation of pious activities in innumerable lifetimes, 4 types of people engage in bhajan unto me. So, have you heard this verse before from Bhagavad Gita? That there are 4 types of pious persons who engage in bhajan to Krishna. Krishna is identifying them. Chaturvida, that means 4 types. Jana sukriti norarjuna. They have sukriti, they have a past lifetimes of pious activities. And now Krishna names them. Arto, Jigyasur, Artarati, Jnani. So, those who are very anxious to eradicate their distress, do you know what they're called? Arto. Arto. They're suffering very much. They want to eradicate their distress and suffering. So they worship Krishna to get that result. Then the next one, those who are inquisitive to understand the absolute truth, they're called jigyasu. That means inquisitive. They like to inquire. They're not particularly very serious, but they like to inquire. So, then there is the category of pious persons who want to worship Krishna, and they desire to attain material happiness. Yes, that's their desire. Arta, arti. They have the desire to attain material happiness. Then the last category, the fourth type of person, is, as Krishna tells, he's the best amongst these. And he is called a jnani. Why? Because he is realizing spiritual truth at every moment. So that person is called a jnani, and he worships Krishna. Now, let's break this down. Though one may be arta, jigyasu, artarti, or jnani, whatever, but one may be any one of these, unless one has some accumulated pious merit, that means sukriti, then he will not be inclined towards bhajan. He will not be inclined, unless he has what? From previous lives. He has a background, not just this life, but other lifetimes. He has a background of pious activities. Yes. So, unless any of these four has accumulated pious merit, sukriti, then they will not be inclined towards bhajan, to worship Krishna. There's another verse that's right next to this verse, in the Bhagavad Gita. There's another verse where Krishna is telling that there's 4 types of dushkritina. That's the opposite. They are dushkriti. They have only sinful activities in their background. So they're demons. But they're progressively more and more demonic. This is the thing. But that's not talking about this yet. First he's telling about those who they will not be inclined towards bhajan unless they have sukriti. Now Srila Jiva Goswami has defined the word sukriti as what? As those activities in connection with transcendental personalities that give rise to an intense desire to perform bhakti. There may be doubts concerning the existence of sukriti in the artas, in the jigyasus, and in the artartis. There may be some doubt in terms of the existence of sukriti in them. But in relation to the jnanis, there are no such doubts. It is a fact that those who possess spiritual knowledge, it is a fact that those who possess spiritual knowledge, certainly they engage in bhajan after their abundant accumulation of sukriti. Absolutely they will. Certainly. After they have accumulated sukriti. Now Srila Rupa Goswami writes in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 20 and 21. Tatra Gita Disuktanam Chaturnam Adhikaranam Madhye Yasmin Bhagavata Kripa Syat Tat Priyasyava Sakshina Tat Tad Bhava Syach Shuddha Bhaktya Adhikaravan Yatebha Shonakadischa Dhruva Sacha Chatusanaha. Now, Rupa Goswami is saying that when the 4 types of persons who are eligible to engage in bhakti, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, when they receive the mercy of Bhagavan or they receive the mercy of Bhagavan's devotees, then they become free from their particular motivations that are respectively the desire for relief from distress, the desire to have their inquisitiveness satisfied, and the desire to obtain wealth and the attachment to impersonal knowledge. So then at that time, when they've received the mercy of Bhagavan or his devotees, and then when they become free from their particular motivations, they become rightful candidates for unalloyed devotion. And this is clearly visible from the examples of Gajendra and the sages headed by Shonaka, Dhruva Maharaj, and the 4 Kumaras. 4 examples being given here. Clearly visible from Gajendra, sages headed by Shonaka, Dhruva Maharaj, and the 4 Kumaras. What happened in the case of all 4 of these individuals? Huh? Yeah, in the beginning though they had desire. But then when they became free and they received mercy, then they became rightful candidates for unalloyed devotion. Now, he's expanding upon the Gajendra qualification. When Gajendra was seized by the crocodile and he was unable to free himself despite innumerable strenuous efforts, then he fervently prayed to Bhagavan. And then Bhagavan, who is the savior of the distressed, he appeared. And he delivered Gajendra by killing the crocodile. So, first he tried to free himself with all strenuous efforts, innumerable strenuous efforts. But after he was unable to free himself, then he fervently prayed to Bhagavan. And then Bhagavan, the savior of the distressed, appeared and he delivered Gajendra by killing the crocodile. So by the mercy of Bhagavan, Gajendra's distress was removed and he became qualified for unalloyed devotion. Now we come to Shonaka Rishi, and the other sages in the forest of Naimisharanya. So Shonaka and the other sages, they became very fearful upon the arrival of Kali Yuga, and understanding the inability of fruitive activity to yield any benefit, they approached the great devotee Suta Goswami. And they inquired how the people of this age could attain their ultimate benefit. In his reply, Suta Goswami instructed them on pure devotion, and then as a result of receiving his mercy in this way, then they attained Shuddha Bhakti. Yes. Now comes Dhruva Maharaj. So, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped Bhagavan, motivated by the desire to attain an opulent kingdom. But when Bhagavan appeared before him, then by Bhagavan's mercy, his desire for a kingdom vanished, and then he became qualified for pure bhakti. And finally, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat, who are the 4 Kumaras, previously they were impersonalists, but then later on, by the mercy of Bhagavan and his devotees, they completely rejected the conception of impersonalism, and they attained the qualification for Shuddha Bhakti. Now the purport is that as long as all of them harbored desires within their hearts, either for relief from their distress, or to satisfy their inquisitiveness, or to obtain wealth, or they were attached to an impersonal conception of the absolute truth. So, as long as all of them harbored these desires within their hearts, they were ineligible for unalloyed devotion. So therefore, in relation to the qualification for pure bhakti, Srila Rupa Goswami has written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.14, Yakkena pyati bhagyena jata shraddho syasevane nati sakto na vairagya bhag asyam adhikaryaso. Here's Rupa Goswami's statement. When one is not too attached to or detached from this material world. So, he's not too attached, and he's also not too detached from this material world. And then, by some good fortune, he develops faith in the service of Krishna's lotus feet. Then he is considered to possess the eligibility for unalloyed devotion. Now the purport is that when worldly people realize the futility of material existence, after being afflicted by various types of distress, and also by suffering in the absence of their desired objects, then they begin to lead their lives in a mood of detachment from the material world. Now, if by some good fortune, at such a time, they acquire the association of Bhagavan's devotees, then they inquire from them, and they come to understand that there is no higher destination than the attainment of Bhagavan. So gradually, they develop firm faith in this, and then they engage in bhajan. Now at that time, it can be said that they have developed faith in Krishna Bhakti. This very faith is the root cause of the eligibility for pure devotion. Which faith? Which faith is the root cause of the eligibility for pure devotion? That they have developed faith by acquiring the association of Bhagavan's devotees. They gradually develop firm faith in this, that there's no higher destination than the attainment of Bhagavan. They have come to understand that principle, and gradually they develop firm faith in this, and they engage in bhajan. Now, at that time, it can be said that they have developed faith in Krishna Bhakti. So this very faith, it is the root cause of their eligibility for pure devotion. And this is confirmed by Srila Jiva Goswami's explanation found in the Bhakti Sandarbha of these verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, this is very important, these two verses from Bhagavatam, very often quoted. 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 27 and 28. Jata Shradho Mat Katasu Nirvinna Sarva Karmasu Veda Dukatmakan Kaman Parityage Pyanishvaraha Tato Bhajeta Mam Prita Shradhalur Dridha Nishchaya Jushamanas Chatan Kaman Dukkodarkams Chagarhayan. So this is Lord Krishna telling to Sri Uddhavaji. Now he says, my devotees who have developed faith in hearing the narrations of my pastimes, they remain detached from fruitive activities. So what's the first thing? Jata Shradho Mat Katasu. They have now developed faith in hearing Mat Katasu, the narrations of my pastimes. So those devotees who have developed such faith, they remain detached from fruitive activities, and then they try to accept the objects of the senses just enough to maintain their lives. That's all. Knowing well that sense enjoyment, it leads to a miserable result. Still, enduring the reactions to their previous activities, and also endeavoring to become free from the cycle of the pleasant and the unpleasant results that arise from such activities, they sincerely regret those fruitive activities. Here's the first thing. They sincerely regret those fruitive activities. And what else? And they silently condemn them. Yes. They simply tolerate the reactions to those activities while simultaneously remaining engaged in bhajan unto me with firm faith and resolve. So, that's the translation of these two verses. Does this remind you of another very famous verse? Tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Yeah. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano punjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapur bir vidadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabak. So now, these two verses are Krishna is telling a similar thing. But he's telling in a very special way that they sincerely regret. They have deep regret for those fruitive activities. And also, silently, they condemn having done those activities. So they simply tolerate the reactions of those activities while simultaneously remaining engaged in bhajan unto me with firm faith and resolve. So now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting Jiva Goswami for us to understand these two verses. Now, while explaining the above verses, which describe how a faithful devotee performs bhajan, so Jiva Goswami has commented in the Bhakti Sandarbha. This is describing how a faithful devotee performs bhajan. She has commented in his Bhakti Sandarbha, Tad evam ananya bhakti adhikare hetum shraddha matram uktva sayata bhajeta tata sikshayati. So this means, Jiva Goswami is saying, faith is the sole cause of the qualification to perform exclusive devotion. Faith, Shraddha, it's the sole cause of the qualification to perform exclusive devotion. Srila Jiva Goswami also mentions the following. Shraddha hi shastrartha vishvasa shastram cha tad asharanasya bhayam tach charanasya bhayam vadati ato jataya shraddhayas tat sharana patir eva lingam iti. So he's saying, this means faith in the words of the scriptures is called Shraddha. Faith in the words of the scriptures is called Shraddha. The scriptures mention that those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Bhagavan, they have nothing to fear. But those who have not done so, they will remain fearful. So thus it can be understood from the symptoms of Sharanapati, which means surrender. It can be understood from the symptoms of surrender whether or not faith has developed within someone. How can you tell if faith has developed or if it hasn't developed in someone? You can understand from the symptoms of Sharanagati, Sharanapati, it is also called, surrender. You can understand. So now he says, what is Sharanapati? Then Srila Jiva Goswami writes the following. Jatayam shraddhayam sada tad anuvritti chestaiva syat. And he also writes the following. Karma parityago vidyate. So these two statements mean that upon the appearance of faith, the constant endeavor to serve Krishna, which is called Krishnanuvritti Cheshta. Everyone repeat after me. Krishnanuvritti. 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 Cheshta. 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 Krishnanuvritti Cheshta. Krishnanuvritti Cheshta. So, when this appearance of faith happens, upon this appearance of faith taking place, the constant endeavor to serve Krishna, that means Krishnanuvritti Cheshta, it is always visible in a person's behavior. And it's always visible in the tendency to perform fruitive activities is altogether removed. So let me clarify. This Sharanapati is what Jiva Goswami is explaining. And he says two different statements, which means that upon the appearance of such faith, of such Shraddha, then the constant endeavor to serve Krishna, is always visible in a person's behavior. And also the tendency to perform fruitive activities, that tendency, it's altogether removed. No more tendency to perform fruitive activities. So this is Sharanapati. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse, 1866, Krishna, after giving separate explanations of karma, of jnana, and of bhakti, through a most confidential statement, Bhagavan has given instruction on full surrender. What is that most confidential statement on full surrender? Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. Repeat after me. Sarvadharman Sarvadharman Parityajya Parityajya Mam ekam Sharanam vraja Sharanam vraja Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam ekam sharanam vraja Aham tvam Sarvapapebhyo Moksha ishyami Ma shuchaha Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo Moksha ishyami ma shuchaha Moksha ishyami ma shuchaha Sarvadharman parityajya Mam ekam sharanam vraja Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo Moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling that we should understand that the words in this verse, Sarvadharma, what does that mean? Sarvadharma. It means paths that are obstacles to complete surrender. Sarvadharman parityajya. What does that mean? Sarvadharman parityajya. What? All what? I gave 3 words. Sarva, Dharman, and Parityajya. What does it mean?
Sarva, all. Dharma is dharmas. Parityajya, just throw. Give up.
Yes. So, what is this indicating? What is the deeper understanding of Sarva Dharman? All dharmas. What does it mean? All dharmas. No, not only that. You know what it means? Listen carefully to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The words Sarva Dharman in this verse, it means the paths that are obstacles to complete surrender. It doesn't mean Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. No, it doesn't mean that. It means any paths that are obstacles to complete surrender. If that is an obstacle for you to surrender fully to Krishna, then that's called one of those dharmas that you must give up. Now, how is that further explained? He gives an example. Such as the pursuance of one's occupational duties within the Varnashram system. Pursuing your occupational duties within the Varnashram system. You're a Kshatriya, so your occupational duties are the duties of a Kshatriya. You're a Vaishya, so your occupational duties are that of a Vaishya. So, if those pursuance, not your occupational duties, but if your pursuance of your occupational duties within the Varnashram system are obstacles to your complete surrender to Krishna, then they must be abandoned. Then he gives another example. The worship of demigods. The worship of demigods. if someone is worshipping demigods, how they can surrender to Krishna fully? That means they don't have faith in Krishna. They don't have full faith in Krishna, therefore they can't surrender to Krishna. This is an obstacle. So, what is Sri Krishna saying? Sri Krishna is saying the following: rejecting all of these, one should surrender unto me, meaning one should develop exclusive faith towards engaging in bhajan unto me. Exclusive faith towards engaging in bhajan unto me. First rejecting all of those, and then developing exclusive faith towards engaging in bhajan unto me. Then Krishna says, don't be fearful of the reactions that come to those who commit the sin of rejecting their occupational duties. Don't be fearful. Because in the Varnashram system, this is sinful, to reject your occupational duties. But Krishna says, don't fear any reaction to this. I assure you, Krishna is saying, that I will free you from the reactions to all of such sins. Don't fear. Don't be fearful at all. Now a doubt may arise. A doubt may arise that the word faith, it actually refers here to having respect. That the word faith means having respect. There may be such a doubt that may arise, that this word faith, it actually means to have respect. So, the paths of karma, gyan, and so forth, they also require faith. You cannot engage in path of karma or gyan without faith. There has to be some kind of faith. But so he says, thus, faith is not only the cause of bhakti, but it is also the cause of karma and gyan also. Faith. Now the philosophical principle is that the word shraddha, it actually means feelings of faith in the injunctions of the scriptures. Feelings of faith in the injunctions of the scriptures. That is called shraddha. And also included within this feeling of faith in the injunctions of the scriptures, included within this feeling, another sentiment certainly exists, which is called what? Ruchi, taste. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm reading this again. The philosophical principle is that the word shraddha actually means feelings of faith in the injunctions of the scriptures. Then, also included within this feeling, another sentiment certainly does exist also, which is called ruchi, taste. Now, despite possessing faith, one may not desire to participate in a particular activity unless he has developed taste for it. Despite possessing faith. But one may not desire to participate in a particular activity unless he has developed taste for it. Now, faith in the paths of karma and gyan is always mixed with a particle of bhakti in the form of ruchi. Right? Faith in the paths of karma and gyan is always mixed with a particle of bhakti in the form of ruchi, taste. Only through the influence of this fraction of bhakti, are the paths of karma and jnana able to yield any result? Huh? Only through the influence of this fraction of bhakti are the paths of karma and jnana able to yield any result. Similarly, the faith that develops for bhakti is endowed with ruchi also. The faith that develops for bhakti is endowed with ruchi. And this faith is none other. What is that faith? It is none other than the seed of the creeper of devotion, the bhakti lata, which is sown in the heart of the living entity. The faith in the paths of karma and jnana, that faith is mixed with taste for the activities of karma and jnana respectively. But the nature of this faith, it is different. Only faith that is endowed with taste for bhakti culminates in the symptoms of bhakti. I'm reading that again. Only faith that is endowed with taste for bhakti, then that faith culminates in the symptoms of bhakti. This is called sharanapati, full surrender. Only when one's taste for bhakti advances through the progressive stages of sadhu sangha, performance of bhajan, absence of anarthas, and finally assumes the form of nishtha, then that taste for bhakti then only at that time does that taste for bhakti become pure ruchi. Pure ruchi. Oh ho ho. So, only when one's taste for bhakti advances through the progressive stages of sadhu sangha, performance of bhajan, absence of anarthas, finally assumes the form of nishtha, then does it become pure ruchi, pure taste. Thus, faith is a separate entity from bhakti. Get that? It's interesting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pointing out that faith is a separate entity from bhakti. So Srila Jiva Goswami writes in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Tasmat Shraddha na Bhaktyangam Kintu Karmadya Samartha Vidvat Tavad Ananyatakyayam Bhaktavadikari Visheshanam Eva. Here's Jiva Goswami's statement from Bhakti Sandarbha that faith is a separate entity from bhakti. So he's explaining now. Jiva Goswami is explaining, hence, faith is not a limb of bhakti. No. Faith is not one of the limbs of bhakti. But it is an attribute of the qualification for bhakti, resulting from one's having become indifferent to the ritualistic fruitive activities known as karma kanda. So it says in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20, verse 9, Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidyeta yavata matkata shravanadova shraddha yavan najayate. Here Krishna is telling Uddhava that one should continue performing his occupational duties as long as he has not become indifferent to them. Okay? As long as na nirvidyeta yavata, that he has not become indifferent to performing those fruit occupational duties. And what else? Matkata shravanadova. As long as he has not developed faith in hearing the narrations of my pastimes. These two things. He has not become indifferent to his occupational duties. And also, he has not developed faith in hearing the narrations of my pastimes. Therefore, Krishna says one should continue. That person should continue performing his occupational duties. Now, the purport is that one is qualified to renounce his occupational duties only when he develops faith in hearing the narrations of Krishna's pastimes. This is the conclusion of the scriptures. That what? Hey, you're qualified to renounce your occupational duties only when you developed faith in hearing the narrations of Krishna's pastimes. This is the conclusion of the scriptures. So to clarify a possible doubt here, we must note that if faith, which is the very cause of the qualification for unalloyed devotion, if this faith is itself not a limb of bhakti, then how can spiritual knowledge and renunciation, which is in some instances manifests before the appearance of faith, spiritual knowledge, renunciation, sometimes it comes even before the appearance of faith, how can they be limbs of bhakti? If faith, which is the very cause of the qualification for unalloyed devotion, is itself not a limb of bhakti, then how can spiritual knowledge and renunciation, which in some instances manifest before the appearance of faith, how can they be limbs of bhakti? So Srila Rupa Goswami says, 1-2-248, Jnana Vairagyayor Bhakti Praveshayo Payogita Ishat Pratamam Eveti Nangatvam Uchitam Tayo. Rupa Goswami is telling that in some particular instances, spiritual knowledge, jnana, and also renunciation, vairagya, they may be useful while a devotee is in the initial stages of entering into bhakti, but they can never be said to be limbs of bhakti. They can never be said to be limbs of bhakti. What are never said to be limbs of bhakti? Some spiritual knowledge, jnana, or some vairagya, renunciation. They may be useful while a devotee is in the initial stages of entering into bhakti, but they can never be said to be limbs of bhakti. They're not limbs of bhakti. Hence, it is an established fact that only that faith which is endowed with the symptoms of complete surrender, only that faith is the cause of the qualification for pure devotion. Which faith? That faith which is endowed with the symptoms of complete surrender. If the faith is endowed with the symptoms of complete surrender, then it is the cause of the qualification for pure devotion. Now, sometimes people are heard saying that faith in hearing the narrations of Krishna's pastimes, this is developed by some persons through the strict performance of their occupational duties. Or they may say that by some persons develop this faith in hearing the narrations of Krishna's pastimes through the cultivation of what? Spiritual knowledge. And then others can also suggest that through renunciation of the objects of the senses, their faith in hearing the narrations of Krishna's pastimes is developed. But such statements are erroneous. They are not factual. They are full of error. It is possible that these processes, they may have been cultivated just prior to the appearance of faith. But through a more detailed analysis, it becomes apparent that somehow or another there must have been some association with devotees just between these two instances. That is, clarifying more, what instances? Between the cultivation of the above-mentioned processes and the appearance of faith. There must be, it becomes apparent that somehow or another there must have been some association with devotees, and just between these two instances, between the cultivation of the above-mentioned processes and the appearance of faith. So in this context, the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10:51-53. It is worthy of our consideration. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej janasya tarhyachyuta satsamagama satsangamo yarhi tadaiva sadgato paravare she tvai jayate mati. Sri Muchukunda said, who's Muchukunda? Who's Muchukunda? Do you know who is Muchukunda? Tell me. You don't know who Muchukunda is? I can't believe it. You don't know who Muchukunda is. Do you know who Muchukunda is? It means you've never read the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. You've never read Prabhupada's Krishna book. Because if you did, you would know who Muchukunda is.
We forgot.
You didn't forget. You never knew who he is. Because if you knew who he is, you would never forget. So you're just trying to cover up for your ignorance. That's all you're trying to do. But it won't work with me. Because I know the reason why you don't know who Muchukunda is. You have not properly studied the pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, to remind you, Krishna one time was being pursued by a demon on the battlefield in Mathura. The demon was chasing him. Do you know what that demon's name was? Kalyavana. Kalyavana, big demon. Do you know that Kalyavana is the origin of the Muslims? No, you don't know that. You haven't heard the explanation from Vishnu Daivat Maharaj. When we were at the birthplace, the Janmastan in Mathura, waiting in line to go down into the semblance of the prison house, then he was saying, do you know who Kalyavana is? I said, yes, I know who Kalyavana is. Kalyavana is what? He's the demon that brought a few million warriors. How many? 30 million warriors he brought into the battlefield to help who? Jarasandha, who was trying again and again 18 times to conquer over Krishna and his armies. So finally this Kalyavana character appeared. And Vishnu Daivat Maharaj was telling us, because he's read into all these things. He has a lot of detailed connecting. This connects with that. So he said, do you know that he is the origin of Muslims, Kalyavana? So I'm not going to go into that topic, because we're trying to understand who is Muchukunda. Muchukunda is the person who just spoke this verse. It's in the 51st chapter of the 10th canto. Now, what did I say just now about Kalyavana? What was he doing?
Trying to kill Krishna.
No. Jarasandha 18 times. Kalyavana 1 time. He came with 40 million warriors to join Jarasandha, who could not defeat Krishna. So when Kalyavana came and attacked, then what did Krishna do?
Run.
Run away.
Oh, now your brain is getting a little bit fertilized. Ha ha ha. I already told that. Where did he run? Where did Krishna run?
Inside the cave.
Inside of a cave. Wow, you're getting warmer and warmer. Inside of the cave. What happened? When Krishna ran inside of the cave, what did Krishna do when he ran inside of the cave? Huh? Huh? What did Krishna do when he ran inside of the cave? He stood off to the side. He stood off to the side. So now the king caught up with Krishna and he entered into the cave. He said, "Ah ha ha, now I have him trapped. Now I have him trapped." So he's looking around inside of the cave. It was dimly lit. But then he suddenly saw a figure of a very large individual with a blanket over him. And he thought, oh, just see, it's Krishna. Krishna's trying to hide. He's such a coward. He's trying to hide from me. So this Kalyavana, he came up to that large figure lying underneath some blanket. What did he do? Huh? He kicked him very, very hard. Then what happened? You don't know.
He's awake and killed
Huh?
through the eyes.
What? What happened?
This king being awake.
What king being awake? We don't know who it is yet. Only we know that he kicked him. And then what happened? He sat up. Who was underneath the blankets? He sat up. And when he looked with his eyes at the person who just kicked him, suddenly flames, he burst into flames. All the flames came down in ashes. And now that person was awakened. That person who was awakened is a king who is named Muchukunda. And he was not an ordinary king. He was an extremely exalted devotee of Bhagavan, of Krishna. And not only that, he was such a powerful Kshatriya king, and he could fight in such an inimitable manner, incomparable, that even the demigods requested him to come and fight on their behalf. And he fought and he fought and he fought for very, very long time period, many years. So finally the demigods, everyone was defeated by the help of the king. And then the demigods said, now, O King Muchukunda, please request from us a boon. Whatever you desire, you can request from us. And Muchukunda said, now I want to sleep undisturbed for a very long time because of all of his exhaustion from fighting. He wanted to sleep. So he requested from the demigods, if anyone disturbs me from my sleep, give me the power that simply by glancing at them, they burn to ashes. So he got that boon. Now, why did Krishna run into that cave? There's lots of caves he could have run into. Why did he run into that cave? Can you tell?
He knew.
Yeah, Krishna knew everything. He knew that there is a great king named Muchukunda who is my great devotee. Yes, so he accomplished two things at once, because Kalyavana was killed, no longer a threat, and then Muchukunda continued to look, and he saw that there was a very effulgent personality standing there also. And that effulgent personality, Muchukunda gradually began to understand that this is my worshipable Lord. And he began to offer prayers to Krishna. This verse that I read is from his prayers to Krishna. Bhava pavargo brahmato yada bhavej janasya tarhatya chuta satsamagama satsangamo yarhi tadaiva sadgato paravareshe tvai jayate mati. So what does this mean now? Sri Muchukunda said, now you know who Muchukunda is, right? Yes? Do you know who Muchukunda is?
I know.
Who is he?
This man who was in the cave when Krishna came and he hid him. And his Kalyana came into the cave and Muchukunda burned his bodies, his vision.
Yes. So that King Muchukunda, while he's offering prayers to Krishna, he said this verse. And this verse, I'm telling you, this verse is very, very significant. You know why? This verse is telling how the living entity becomes fortunate. So here's the translation of the verse. Oh, my dear infallible Lord, becoming opposed to you, the living entity sometimes attains worldly sense pleasure by pursuing the path of karma, and then sometimes he attains liberation through the cultivation of jnana, and thus he is entangled in the repeated cycle of birth and death. But here's the second part of the verse. If that living entity who has become so entangled in the cycle of repeated birth and death, if that living entity, while wandering in this way, that living entity somehow becomes fortunate and he receives the association of your devotees, then with great determination, he fixes his intelligence at your lotus feet, understanding you to be the only shelter of saintly persons and to be the origin of all creation, both material and spiritual, and to be the ultimate goal. So that's his statement. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, based upon this verse, that fruitive activity, the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, or renunciation and so on, they can never be the cause of the appearance of faith. Only the association of devotees can cause the appearance of Shraddha. So in this regard, Srila Rupa Goswami has composed lines such as Yakkena Pyatibhagyena Jata Shraddhosya Sevane. So therefore he's confirming that only persons endowed with Shraddha, only they are the rightful candidates for unalloyed devotion. So there is another consideration here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pointing out. What is that? Another consideration. That sadhana bhakti is of two types. What are the two types of sadhana bhakti? Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and Raganuga sadhana bhakti. And this is confirmed in this verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Vaidhi Raganuga Cheti Sadvidha Sadhanabhida. This means that it is essential to understand the difference between Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Because, why is it essential to understand the difference between these two, which many devotees don't understand the difference between these two? But it is essential to understand the difference between these two, because without this understanding, there may remain many suspicions, many doubts that can harm the development of one's bhakti. Now concerning Vaidhi bhakti, Srila Rupa Goswami has written, Yatra ragana vaptatvat pravrittir upajayate shashane naiva shastrasya sa vaidhi bhaktir uchyate. This means that bhakti is actually the living entity's natural inclination. And this bhakti, this natural inclination of the living entity, it is also not only that, but it is his inseparable occupation of his intrinsic nature. So it's his intrinsic nature, bhakti is his intrinsic nature or inclination, and it is also his inseparable occupation of his intrinsic nature. Now in the conditioned stage, the jiva is opposed to Bhagavan, and the jiva becomes attached to the worldly enjoyment that is presented by the illusory energy. So as the living entity becomes immersed in worldly pleasure, his natural inclination to render loving service, devotional service unto Krishna, it becomes dormant. Now the jiva is fully satisfied actually. He's fully satisfied only when, by some good fortune, his intrinsic rag, or his strong loving attachment for Krishna, reawakens. However it may happen. However it may happen. But when it does happen, the jiva is fully satisfied only when, by some good fortune, his intrinsic raga, or his strong loving attachment for Krishna, reawakens. Now, when prem appears, rag naturally appears alongside it. But the raga, or the attachment for material sense objects that is visible in the conditioned soul, it is distorted rag. It is not pure rag. In that stage, the inborn rag of the living entity remains covered or dormant. So to awaken this inherent rag, then the acceptance of spiritual instruction, it is essential. If you want to awaken the inherent rag, then the acceptance of spiritual instruction is essential. The Vedas and their subordinate literatures are storehouses of such instructions. The bhakti that is performed within the framework of the instructions of the scriptures, it is called Vaidhi Bhakti. So that will be the last thing that we will study in today's class. But in the next class, which is actually on Wednesday, it is Nishringa Chaturdasi. So we will put this on hold, because in Nishringa Chaturdasi we're not going to have the class on Tuesday, we're going to have the class on Wednesday. And it will be a long class. Why? Because there's no prasadam. Everyone will be fasting until dusk, until the time when Lord Nrsingadev appeared. So then at that time we can break our fast, our Ekadasi fast. So we will be studying the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are about 9 chapters, 9 or 10, that are having to do with the topic of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev, and how this happened, that Lord Nrsingadev came and killed the demon, the father of Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu. We will be hearing the whole thing on Wednesday. Now Thursday is the day after. So we are going to postpone our class of Thursday till Friday. And that class will be we'll also discuss the glories of Sri Madhavendra Puri, because his appearance day is the day before that, as well as the appearance day of Srila Srinivasacharya, the disappearance of Sri Parameshwari Thakur, and it is also Buddha Purnima. It is Purnima on Thursday, when we usually have class. But because we're having the class on Nrsinga Chaturdasi, which falls on Wednesday, we're going to postpone our class till Friday. And we will have class and complete this discussion, and also discuss about these personalities' glories. And then on the 26th, which is Sunday, we will again resume. Depending on how far we progress in that class, we will either complete the Bhakti-tattva-viveka, or we will already have completed it on the Friday, and then on the Sunday we will begin to study the Manasiksha of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So that's the plan, that's the schedule. So Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Jiv Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
On Wednesday, Karikata will be here, or?
Yeah, here. It will be here. Maybe we'll speak something there as well. We'll bring the speaker along, and I may speak something there as well. But primarily we'll have the class here. Like we did last year, we did the same thing. We went there to Nrsiнгapalli, and we were there for at least an hour, hour and a half, and then we returned back and we had our class here. So we'll be leaving to go to Nrsiнгapalli at 9 o'clock in the morning, and so we'll be there probably till like 10:30, and then we'll come back here and we'll begin our class at 11 here. That's a plan, general plan. So that's the program. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Mohini Ekadasi ki Jai, Shri Mohini Ekadasi ki Jai, Jai Madhavatiti ki Jai, Madhavatiti ki Jai, Ekadasi Vrata Palan Kori Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Vrindai Tulsidebai Priyai Keshavasya cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.